Estelle grow up and be a good person. Maybe he thinks it's important that he doesn't know he's Aragorn, son of Arathorn, right, heir to the Dunedain and the throne of Gondor.
It's a little bit much for a 10-year-old.
Right, like he's trying to protect him from that. Right. I mean, it's not just to protect him from someone targeting him, because that's kind of what the Hobbit movies did with Thorin. That there were orcs that were out looking for this Thorin guy because he was the heir. It's like, sure, but no. Yeah. So it's like, I don't think Estelle is a secret that's meant to keep him safe from enemies outside. Only. I mean, there's an element of that.
Yes.
But I think it's also...
It does both, yeah.
Yeah, to allow him to grow up as a kid instead of...
Because obviously it doesn't protect his physical well-being to not tell him.
Right. So this keep it a secret thing is obviously to protect his ability to grow up.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he has to do something that makes Elrond say, yeah, we can't tell him yet. He's not ready to find out that he's Mr. Big Shot.
Okay, Karita says, I think you could try to fix something or be a hero. I think the being a hero thing might be the key here. Mm-hmm. Having some prideful motives, but still being inherently noble. I think that's actually a good direction to go in. Have either of you ever read the Chronicles of Prydain?
Yeah, but a long time ago.
Okay. Taran.
Yes, the pig keeper.
Yeah, the assistant pig keeper. There was actually a Disney movie that kind of compressed two of the books.
The Black
together.
Cauldron.
Called The Black Cauldron.
It's rated PG.
Yeah, and
it's scary.
I actually just listened to something where somebody was saying, imagine if like Disney had been successful with The Black Cauldron and just said, you know what, we're gonna just make cartoons for adults now. But that didn't happen.
Yes. Yeah, Black Cauldron has no singing in it. So like there's a few moments where you think a character's going to break into song and then they don't.
Yeah.
It has some pretty dark moments.
Yeah, it does.
And like I said, it got a PG rating, which Disney never does. Yeah. And then it has Gurgi, munchings and crunchings for poor starving Gurgi, who is essentially Gollum.
Yes,
and he's much more Gollum in the film than he is in the book.
Well, I mean, because... Well, why can't I remember the author's name all of a sudden?
Lloyd Alexander.
Thank you. Yeah, Lloyd Alexander. I don't know when he was writing, but I don't think he would necessarily. I think that those books started coming out before the 50s, if memory serves. I don't know.
That seems highly unlikely.
Well, I don't know how much of an influence Tolkien was on this guy. No relation.
Oh yeah, no. The Gollum connection is more with the film, Black Cauldron,
right?
Not the book.
Well, but
Lloyd Alexander's inspirations were clearly Welsh
mythology.
Yeah.
Although to say that there's no relation between the elves and the Sons of Dawn is a little yeah. Oh, so back to Estelle and the pig. Thank you, Karita, for keeping us on track. But yeah, Taran grows up having absolutely no clue what his lineage is. He yearns to be a noble hero.
Right, and he feels wasted as the assistant pig keeper to the whole pig.
And when he does try to be heroic, it never really works out for him very well. But he eventually becomes the High King of all of Prydain.
Mm-hmm.
Which and there's actually a character who is also very, very similar to Aragorn, as he is in the Lord of the Rings in that book, Gwydion. The idea that a kid who is destined to be a hero is one that shows up over and over with good reason. Because Aragorn is destined to be a hero.
Right. So Right. He doesn't know who he is. But he, like any 10-year-old kid, would have dreams of being someone important someday. I mean, well, maybe not any 10-year-old kid, but most high school guys always wanted to be like dictator of the world for some reason. I don't know if I just had weird friends in high school, but so what bag or problem are we going to have him rashly face down? Yeah, it should be something where he tries to take care of it by himself without telling anybody because he thinks, I've got this. And then he clearly doesn't, and it makes a problem worse. Yeah. But what problem? Yeah.
And it has to be something that can be solved in like 15, 20 minutes.
Or less. Yeah, it has to be a very, very concrete thing. And it has to be a problem in Rivendell. So it can't be marauding orcs. It can't be...
swords and kicks, so I'm totally with Estelle. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, that's a kid thing, right? You want to be the hero. So
I still want that. Are you kidding?
I have years old and practice using them. But anyway,
it can't even be a big critter, can it?
Like a wild boar or something. Wild boar. That sounds like every story with knights ever.
And it's a little too like a wild boar isn't really dangerous unless you come after it.
Right, which is.
And it isn't evil. Yeah.
No. Well, but we're not talking about.
It doesn't necessarily have to be evil. That's true.
Just a problem, anything. I mean, it could be like, oh, the roof is leaking. I'm going to go fix it all by myself. And then he like falls through the roof. It could be something completely mundane that he tries to do. It's not like he needs to face down evil in Rivendell at age 10. That doesn't.
Well, what's going on other than
the bridge is out? Yes. Well, no, it's a really dangerous bridge they've got going into Rivendell. There's like no curve or anything on the side. It's just a flat bridge.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like it's a curve, but it's flat. There's no fence.
Yeah.
There's no railing on the bridge. So we can totally have the river flood. Oh, it's spring now.
Yeah.
It's like March.
Yeah, because we're in the period. We're how far away from Bilbo leaving the Shire at this point?
Bilbo will get to Rivendell in June.
Okay, so we are in the spring.
Mm-hmm. Early spring. I mean,
yeah. What else is going on?
March 1st is Aragorn's birthday.
Yeah.
Spring. You mean like what's going on in the wide world?
Yeah.
Well, there's obviously some trolls hanging out down by the river, named Bert and Bill and Tom, or what were their names? Something like that. Something ridiculous.
Yeah, Bert, Bill, and there was another one. Are there any Elvish spring parties? Well, I'm sure there are.
Oh yeah, Elvish New Year will be like April 8th or so. So probably not quite yet, but eventually, yeah, there'll be something. And these are the elves of Rivendell. They seem like they probably have parties a lot.
Yeah.
So we could have them do something for the equinox. That's March 21st.
Yeah.
So, or they just do something because it's a clear night and the stars are out, and we wouldn't go out and sing songs and have a party because elves.
Any reason to party? I love the elves. Yeah,
yes, pretty much. Elves are all
okay. What if we do something? I mean, this kind of gets us away from the giving him a of him trying to find a heroic moment. But what if it has to do something to do with his birthday? What if he was expecting something to happen in relation to his birthday and it doesn't? And so things didn't go his way the way they didn't go for Melkor. Is he allowed to have a sword yet? There's no way that he hasn't, by age 10, at least started to have some kind of basic training with a sword. Probably, maybe not a metal one.
Wooden swords.
Yeah,
wooden. You do practice with wooden swords against either people wearing padding or
targets.
Yeah. So he wouldn't necessarily have a real
sword, but he would have something that relates as his sword.
Mm-hmm.
Although, I mean, are you going for he was wanting a sword for his birthday or something like a real one? Because that kind of goes into both things. Him wanting to be a hero. I wonder if he would kind of nab a sword and sneak off to practice with it.
Taking something that doesn't belong to him would clearly be something the adults in his life would consider wrong.
Right. He didn't get one for his birthday, decided to borrow one. I like it.
Right. So I like that creative. That's
okay.
An easy mistake you could see a kid making.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I felt like it was time for me to do this, and no one agreed, so I went and did it. Yep.
Okay. So yeah, I feel like that's an excellent impetus to, and he could defend himself on the premise that, I was going to put it back. It really wasn't a big deal, and, Elrond says, you're right. It wasn't a big deal, but that's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission. Yes.
That's our philosophy on this.
Absolutely. We're doing it now.
Let's make decisions and hope the hosts don't notice.
Yeah. Especially decisions that are completely in contrary to what they wanted to do.
Their ideas were dumb, so we're doing it our way.
So, Professor Olson, if you are watching this, you heard it from Marie, not me.
Yep, I am taking full responsibility for that. I am the obnoxious one.
The whole premise of this session, we need it on a mug. Yeah, we do. I can see it right here.
Okay, so young Estelle is trying out the easier to ask forgiveness than permission thing, and it doesn't go so well for him.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he gets caught, whether it's by mom or by one of the twins or both of them or Elrond himself. And I feel like that's a fantastic, because it's not something that's too bad. Everybody at one point or another has done something to that effect as a kid.
Testing boundaries and limits and what you're responsible for. He's trying to be responsible and make his own decision.
Right. And, and the point that Elrond's making is that, nothing begins evil, and so, that I feel like that's a really great impetus to bring on this lesson, the next lesson, of Melkor and the Valar in Arda. Okay.
All right. So I don't know that it really matters who catches him, but it should probably not be Elrond who discovers him with a sword, right? Like, Elrond's got better thing to do than chase down 10-year-old boys who borrow swords.
And I feel like the twins are a good candidate, because Gilrun, why would she necessarily go to Elrond over it? Like, she has full authority to deal with him herself. And the tendency, I believe, for her would be to kind of keep it in house a little bit. Not wrongfully either, but
unless the sword that was stolen was Elder's sword, and she makes him go apologize after. Because that's something parents do. You're going to go put this back. You're going to go say you're sorry. You're going to go tell the person you're not going to do it again.
And I do kind of like that, actually, because it kind of puts Estelle in an already apologetic state when Elrond begins talking to him, where Elrond is not. It doesn't have to be the enforcer in this case, which I kind of like.
Yeah, because I just feel that. Choosing humility instead of pride. Yes.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to establish that Estelle is, just like Melkor.
Right.
Our goal isn't to actually draw a strong parallel there.
Yeah. So, okay. I think we can fairly give that to Gilrine. And we go back to Elrond to apologize, which is humility versus pride, which is the theme with Manwë and Melkor. I absolutely agree. And we want to show that Manwë's path is the one that we want Estelle taking, rather than. Do you have a cat by chance, Marie?
I do. So that random tail that keeps flicking.
Yeah, I was wondering if either you have a cat or your house is haunted, and so I'm glad to hear that it's the former. Okay.
Just standing right behind the laptop right now, so yeah, the tail keeps twitching.
Okay, so that's hilarious. Okay. So I think that kind of takes care of the frame, at least in the beginning. We can kind of come back to where we wind up at the end, because we've killed almost an hour at this point. So the host had talked about starting off with a cold spell. Poltergeists are just invisible cats. Thank you, Korea.
True statement.
Okay. So the opening doors, knocking over glasses of water. Yeah. So basically, the host had talked about starting off with basically like a cold snap, in Arda. Before we see Melkor again, we see his effect on the world.
Right.
We see the cold. We see maybe Yavanna comes on what used to be an open meadow and finds that the plants are dying, that the ground is drying up.
Right. Some
things like that.
Going on. Yeah.
Right. Which I think that's good. But what specifically do we want to see?
Well, so Almarin is an island in the water.
Yeah, in a lake, yeah.
In a lake. But within that island, there's like a reflecting pool thing we were doing with the stars, right? So it's like a pool on an island in a lake.
Yeah.
Right. It's
on a
very,
continent in the sea, yes.
Yeah. There's a concentric thing going on here.
Yes.
So we could do some big picture stuff, or we could focus like on really tiny stuff, and I don't know where to start, but we should go from one to the other. So
what if we
one
start
little flower with frost on it?
Well, can we start with an establishing shot? There's a pool on the land, on the lake, in the hole in the bottom of the sea. Yeah, of course.
Yes.
What if we started with an establishing shot of Almarin in harmony, basically picking up where we left off in episode 2, to kind of give us an idea of where we are before Melkor arrives and starts messing with things.
Right. Yes, and everything is awesome shot. Exactly.
Of course, yes, absolutely. Everything is cool when you work as a team, right? That's what we established in episode 2.
Right.
So, we see Aule working at his forge. We could even see, we could even get a shot of Ase and Ridden playing together in the water. Because that's going to be, because we want to be setting these things up. We want to be seeing these things happening.
Okay.
And these establishing shots give us opportunity to do that, so that when the moments come where these things come up, it's not like, where did this come from?
Right.
We have some kind
feels
of
very organic.
Right. So we have some kind of background for it.
Okay.
So, we have the everything is awesome shot. I'm gonna have to remember that so that I put that in the outline. those exact words.